strategy. This is Max, and in this episode we're going to cover how to softmod your PS2.
Alright, so what you're going to need for the softmod is a PS1 game, PS2 memory card with at least 1.5 megs of space on it, a USB thumb drive that is compatible with your PS2, obviously a PS2, one that's not the slim version, and you're also going to need a copy of Codebreaker or Action Replay Max to do this softmod. So let's get into it.
How this softmod works is when PS2 loads a PS1 game, the console looks for a file called the title.db located on the memory card for special instructions to be applied to the specific PS1 game. So it works correctly. And basically the exploit relies on creating an incorrect entry in this file, which will trigger a buffer overflow, which will allow you to run unencrypted code from the memory card. To be able to trigger this exploit, you're going to need some way of installing the modified title.db onto your memory card. And to do this, we're going to use Codebreaker. You can also use Action Replay Max. This softmod will allow you to run third-party programs in the ELF executable format. We're going to show you some programs here. We're going to show you CogSwap, which will allow you to switch out a legitimate game for a burn game, and also the hard drive loader, which will allow you to run games off your hard drive if you have one. You can also install emulators and media players and things like that. To be able to do this PS2 softmod, we're going to need a couple programs. We're going to need ID-Get to be able to get the ID of your PS1 game. We're going to need TitleMan frontend to be able to create that title.db. And we're going to need PS2 save builder to be able to create the save game that runs the buffer overflow. Alright, so first thing we need to do is put in our PS1 game to our CD drive and run ID-Get. And like I said before, this will get the title ID of this PS1 game. Just put your CD in, select your drive, and push Get. Alright, next we need to open TitleMan frontend to be able to create the title.db. Just open it up here, push OK, and select Create title.db. And this will just create it in the same folder that the program's in. And then we need to select our prefix from the drop-down menu, and then add those 5 digits there that are the ID of your PS1 game. And then we'll add that to the title.database. And then lastly, just make sure it's all there. Just click on List Current Contents, and as you can see, the ID does show up in the title.db. Right. And there you can see it's saved in the same folder. Next we need to open up the PS2 save builder. We already have a save game that will run the exploit. All you need to do is load it into PS2 save builder and add the title.db and some extra programs that you want to have on your PS2. So just go to Open and go to the folder where you have that save game stored at. Alright, once you have it loaded, you'll see a whole bunch of files pop up. And you also want to make sure that your root/ID is correct. Basically, if you have an NTSC PS2, like if you're in the United States or Japan, you want the root to be BA data-system. But if you have a PAL PS2, if you live anywhere else besides the United States and Japan, you want to have the root equal to BE data/system. Next, we want to add our title.db. And then we want to add some extra programs that we want to be able to use on the PS2. Alright, the first program we're going to add is CogSwap Loader. This will basically allow us to switch out a normal PS2 game for a burn game. And then we want to add the hard drive loader. This will allow us to load games off your hard drive if you have one. And also we want to add the server that will run on the PS2 to allow you to upload games to your PS2. And we're going to use the server version 0.8.5. Seems to work better than the older version. Alright, now you can see all the files listed there. And all we need to do is go to File, Save As, and just save it to your desktop or whatever. After you save it, you want to check to make sure it's small enough to fit on your PS2's memory card. And then you're just going to insert your USB drive and copy it over. Alright. Next, what you want to do is you want to go over to your PS2 and insert Codebreaker or Action Replay Max, which will allow us to copy the save game from our USB drive to our memory card. And we're going to be using Codebreaker to do this. Let's have our PS2 load up here. Alright, once it's loaded up, you just want to select Device Manager. And just scroll over to your USB drive. Then you want to select your system configuration, which is your save game that will run the exploit. Just push X to select and triangle to copy it. And then just select your memory card. Then it's going to ask if you want to override it, just push yes. I would recommend backing up all your save games that you have on this memory card just in case some of them get messed up.